Vernacular building is a traditional and natural way by which communities house themselves. It is a continuing process including necessary changes and continuous adaptation as a response to social and environmental constraints. The traditional Malay house can be divided into different portions. The main portion of the house is the rumah ibu, and the other portions of the house are built to be centered around the rumah ibu and the dapur. In Malay vernacular architecture, a selang is a passageway that is built to connect the rumah ibu and the dapur. Some traditional Malay houses does not have a selang, but rather they have a rumah tengah known as the middle house. The rumah tengah basically connects the rumah ibu to the dapur. For the 8D house, it does not have a rumah tengah but rather a selang. Visitors and guests are entertained here. It is also a frequent space for house occupants to rest and chit-chat. The entrance of traditional Malay houses will have a main staircase that leads up to the anjong, which is a covered porch. The anjong is an important part of the Malay traditional architecture. The same is also applied to the 8D house, where there is also a main staircase that leads to the anjong. Stilts are one of the main characteristics of a typical Malay house. This was done to avoid wild animals and floods. Additionally, stilts are also integrated for added ventilation. The stilts found on the 8D house are used for aesthetic value, as well as for better cross ventilation by taking advantage of the open area. The roofs in Malay houses are typically built at considerable height in order to minimize heat transfer into the building. Along with that, these houses have deep eaves to further prevent heat glare into the building. Similarly, the 8D house sports a high roof to minimize heat transfer into the building, as well as deep eaves to block solar glare into the building. The windows here are designed to allow ventilation and block solar radiation. They are able to open up in a variety of angles and usually up to 180 degrees. Some windows are open vertically for sufficient shading. The traditional Malay house has various designs that are inclined towards climatic response. As mentioned previously, the deep eaves and the high ceiling roof reduces the amount of heat gained from the sun, as well as provide sufficient shading. These roof features also help in preventing rainwater from coming into the interior spaces of the house. A traditional Malay house usually has good natural ventilation because of its various openings and its ability to catch higher velocity winds due to the presence of stilts. There is also a ventilated roof space to allow wind to enter to cool the house. Because the 8D house is based on an open concept, it is able to receive natural ventilation from a number of directions. It is also a green and sustainable building as it has several passive designs to promote thermal comfort. Following the same concept, the 8D house has vertical louvers which help reduce solar glare and also shade spaces. As can be seen from the floor plan, the buffer zone shields living areas from the hot afternoon sun. Along with that, cross ventilation is made possible through the various openings that can be found within the interior spaces of the 8D house. And finally, the long facades facing the direction of incoming prevailing winds ensures that the house receives good ventilation.